Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today I wanted to walk you guys through some really important details that were revealed in this Games Radar interview with Patrick Redding. Now, this interview is starting to gain a little bit more steam. IGN and some other outlets are starting to cite the article because I think there are a little bit more nuggets that have been revealed, and I feel the need to actually point out some of these things. And then second of all, I actually want to shout out to Aaron for pointing me to this article. He sent me the link, I think the day it came out, and because it's a link, it went to my filtered comments, so I didn't get to see it. But he then also followed up, and I went back there and I checked, and that's where I saw the link. And so I appreciate you for, helping me to actually kind of, go ahead and look at this. And I read the article and I took a whole bunch of notes because, man, the nuggets in here are insane. Now, I'm going to divide, kind of the details in this article to multiple videos, 2 or 3, but I felt that the need to do that was there because there are a few things that, we need to take a look at in depth. And today, because you guys voted, I'm going to be talking about the open world setting, and I'm also going to be talking about progression. These were the top 2 voted topics on this article. The third one was gameplay, which I'll be talking about in a separate video. Now, I wanted to go ahead and just basically put out a few things here and there. Now, in this particular article, Patrick Redding basically said a few things that he's actually mentioned before. He talks about the fact that you're going to have Gotham City be a big, huge city with 5 boroughs in Gotham, and you're going to be dealing with iconic villains like Mr. Freeze and the Court of Owls. He mentioned something that I've been very, in a sense, suspicious about for a long time. I think I've kind of been onto this as a way for them to extend this game in the sense of the way the open world will respond to you, the player. And he mentioned this. He said, you'll be tasked with clearing up and escalating threats to the city, protecting the citizens of Gotham from street crime, and with figuring out what happened to Batman. It's a balance between investigation and insurrection that has shaped Gotham Knights' direction. So basically, if you look at this particular statement, it is not out of the question to think that as you're actually progressing through this particular game, you're going to be dealing with, citizens, you're going to be dealing with people who basically are going to need your help as you're actually approaching different aspects of the city. In fact, if you guys can remember in the gameplay reveal, you do see civilians on the road, and I think these NPCs are actually going to allow for you to be able to engage in events. Events in gameplay systems are basically tasks that open up the, kind of this web of other tasks and other possible rewards as a player is engaging a series of put together activities. Basically go meet this guy or go help this guy, or perhaps it's actually a random spawned activity like this gang has taken a hostage of this particular building. Go there and kind of get those hostages out of there. I think this is what we're going to see in Gotham Knights because already a lot of people were able to observe this, and these threats I think constantly escalate in the way that the gameplay has been designed. So I think Patrick Redding is actually cluing us to say, yo, Gotham Knights is going to have a living world system. Basically, the open world is going to be very interactive. You're going to be able to get out there and do all kinds of random stuff that I feel they'll keep generating in order to keep the game playable for multiple hours. Now, there's another game that has actually done this very successfully. We haven't seen many other games that have put this into, some really strong practice. Now, the game that I'm talking about is Tom Clancy's The Division 2. I'm an avid player of The Division 2, and The Division actually has an open world system where you help hostages, you take over territory of bad guys that, and then control points of bad guys. You can go in there and actually demolish them and take it over temporarily or, for a period of time. And so these activities are set up to constantly spawn and keep the open world busy. So when you get into Gotham Knights, or in a sense like this, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be like our traditional Batman games. In fact, I think otherwise. I think it's going to be a game where every time you log into the map, you're looking around your map and going, hey, which other gangs have actually respawned and are trying to take over this area again? Or what crime is randomly generating in this area, and you're going to go and solve them. And then I think the story progression, as he says here, it's going to be a balance between investigation and insurrection. So basically, you're investigating what happens to Bruce. What happened is what he says. What happened to Bruce Wayne, while at the same time you're trying to quell all kinds of different insurrection, be they side mission type or even main mission types. Example will be the mission that they showed here in this particular clip, which is about Mr. Freeze, pretty much, trying to freeze the whole city. That's a main mission level type deal. And you'll be intercepting, in my opinion, Gotham City's police department's transmissions in order for you to be able to get this. In fact, at the beginning of this particular clip, they give us a huge clue. If you listen very carefully, there are basically 4 or 5 calls to, public safety for different kinds of emergencies that are going on within Gotham. You even see a radar here in in Barbara's clock tower office. And so I think this is exactly what Gotham Knights is basically going to look like in terms of that. Now, this may also be the Belfry. I don't know. I don't know what that would look like. But I think this is basically what the open world is going to be designed to be. So in order for you to be able to digest this particular article, you actually have to go back to a lot of the reveals that they did. And I think it's actually pretty cool. It's quite interesting that they are going this direction. And I'm really excited about it because this now opens the door for a lot of other villains that can come into the game as things go. Now, how that ties into progression is very interesting. He talks about how every time you actually go into the Belfry, you're able to basically switch characters as you want. There's going to be a free flow of characters in just basically the way you play. So it says the game also allows you to switch to a different character pretty much anytime you want, as long as you go back to the Belfry to do so. And basically, you can just go back and do that. But the thing is this, your progression is not necessarily going to be affected. And he said this, he said, when night falls, you'll be ready to get back out on patrol and you'll be able to head back out into Gotham City as any one of the characters and without any fear of being underleveled or prepared. So I think the Knights are going to have some sort of a synergistic leveling up system as you, the player, are going through the game. I think the other things would probably be particular missions that are tied to abilities that they may want you to get from a specific storyline. I think this game is going to be a web. Say perhaps there are general missions that you can play with most characters, and then there might be missions that are locked to specific characters that maybe these characters kind of have to play in order for the game to kind of progress. And once that happens, then I think every other character is going to benefit from that among your knights. That when it comes to other kinds of specifics, I think there's a way that they're going to use some sort of a minor skill tree in order to make it somewhat satisfactory for each particular character to at least have some leveling system and their own weight individually. How they're going to pull this off, is going to be unique to the game. I can't necessarily say. I haven't seen the game. But I think that's exactly how they're going to do it. In order for the game not to feel like Marvel's Avengers, where you had to basically go level up all your characters if you wanted to progress through the game, I think they want to take away that tediousness, because that will really make the game very tedious if you had to level up every single character as you actually progressed. A few other things too that really will catch your attention once you actually start playing the game, once you start watching the footage to look at how this will work, the progression is actually showcased pretty much here in this particular video where Barbara's fighting and she gets XP, and in this particular video she's a level 10 Batgirl. The question is your own, say maybe this is your save progression, does this mean that every XP gain that she's getting, does that mean it's going to translate to your own Tim, to your own Jason, and to your own Dick, Grayson? I don't know how it's going to all work. I mean, I think this is pretty much what they're alluding to, because if that's the case, then definitely this is something that, we have to keep in mind. But then again, I've seen some other comments saying, this feels kind of weird because some people would like to play again as other characters, but I don't think that's necessarily going to matter, because if that living world system with escalating threats continues to be something that is ongoing, then all you're going to find yourself doing is constantly taking on the city as the city continues to generate new threats. This is an event system that many people necessarily have not experienced in most RPG games. And when I made a video, I think I made a video one time, asking the question if Gotham Knights was going to be some sort of an Assassin's Creed game. And I got made fun of for that video, even though that's what I'd suspected from time, because also games like Assassin's Creed, in some cases, provide these kinds of, continuous gameplay systems where you have outposts that go back and get taken again by bad guys, and you can go there and beat up the bad guys and all of that stuff. Also, Patrick Redding mentions in depth about enemy NPCs and talks about enemy NPCs are going to basically, they're going to follow your own progression. They're going to pretty much be as strong as you. They're going to scale to your progression level as well. So this design decision serves a purpose. It says first, your own guys, your other knights. He says this. Now let me just read this paragraph for you guys so you can basically get the picture. He says, since the story progression is shared between all the characters, it also makes sense that you don't have to level up from scratch every time you want to switch. It also stays very coherent in terms of our narrative. And then he says, since the other members of the Bat family are always present in some way in the background while you're out in the world fighting crime or unraveling the mystery, that they don't stay inactive. So it makes sense that they're also progressing and getting stronger. This design decision serves two purposes. First, it ensures that you don't spend your time in the belfry arguing who's going to play with, which you're basically if you're trying to play co-op. And also, there won't be any need to grind through experience for character unlocks and levels. Enemies will also scale to your progression level as well, ensuring that you always feel free to experiment with different heroes and their unique playstyles, weapons, and abilities. So if you basically look at this particular gameplay footage again, you're going to notice that the enemy NPCs are basically the same as Barbara's. They are level 10, and also with Tim, let me see if Tim had a different enemy level for him, or if he actually is at the same level as the Barber here. He also has level 10 enemies as well. So this is what they're basically talking about. As you're leveling up, once you encounter the enemy NPCs, they would have leveled up as well to somewhere that is close to or maybe a little higher than your own character in the particular game. So when you think about the open world, think about an open world that constantly is regenerating and bringing new threats every time. And then when you think about your progression, you're basically going to have to address it from the aspect of you're going to be able to progress your knights with basically a general system. And I think there's going to have to be a more specific system to make each knight somewhat unique as you're going through the game. So this article, I would encourage for you to actually go back and read it. In the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about gameplay. I'm going to talk about a few more mechanics that, I've basically noticed. And to be very frank, I think I found something else that you guys are actually going to be very excited about. It's a very small clue. I haven't seen anybody talk about it, but I'm going to showcase it in the video that's following that gameplay video as we are discussing and looking through what this Gotham Knights game is going to be bringing. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you very much for your time and audience. If you enjoyed the video, if it was informative to you, feel free to leave a comment, or you can like the video, or maybe you can join the Video Game Fight School community and subscribe. I would really much appreciate it. Once again, I'll talk to you all in another video. Thank you very much for your time and audience. Peace out.